test. David, Shamrei El ki chasisi bo. Amat ladoinoi, adoinoi oto, koi vosi ba'olecho. Likdoishim asher bo'retz heimo, Vadirei kol chavtzibom. Yirvu atzavoisom acher moru, valasich niskeyem midom, uvaleso shmoisom al svosoi. Adonai nos pelki v'koisi, Ato taimich gairoli. Chavolim nofuli banimim, af nachlo shofroloi. Aboreches Adonai asher yotzoni, af leilois yiseruni kol yoisoi. Shivisi Adonai linegdisomid, ki mimini ba'alemois. L'chein samach libi vayogel choidi, af besori yishkoin lo betach. Ki lois azoiv nafshi l'shoil, lois siten chasidcho l'rois shochas. Toy dieni oira Chaim, soy vas mochois esponecho, nimois bigvim chonetzav. Yeshiva HaRav Tzvi Fink. Het is een andere wereld. Een wereld
mit Moi Rabbi Pinchos und der Welt und Moi Rabbi ist Pasche der andere Welt. Im Pasuk steht, Sifsei Koyen Yishmru Das, the Torah Yevakish Mipiu. The Kehanim, sie sind in der Moshe der Torah von Klal Yisrael. Und was ist der Teitsch? Im Mishnah steht, Hillel Oimer Avi Mitalmidev Shal Aaron HaKoyen, Oyev Shalom, V'roidev Shalom, Oyev Es HaBriois, und Mekarven La Torah. Und der Moral ist Mevaer, der Avoide von Kehanim, is to be Mekarev, the Klal Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Und kedei to be Mekarev, the Klal Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Eibishter is Hashem Echad. Und kedei to be Mekarev, the Klal Yisrael HaKadosh Baruch Hu, darf sein the Klal Yisrael Am Echad. Moshe Rabbeinu hat gesagt zu Korach was chilek on the Kehanim. Moshe Rabbeinu said, Onu ein lonu, Ela Hashem Echad, V'Torah Echad, V'Kohen Gadol Echad. By Klal Yisrael to that Kohen Gadol. On a Kohen Gadol, Erot the Koyati Ma'achid the Klal Yisrael. Aaron HaKohen was the Kohen Gadol by Klal Yisrael. He was the Oyevas HaBriois. His Oyevas HaBriois was Ma'achid him to the Klal Yisrael. And through this, that his Avas HaBriois was Ma'achid him to the Klal Yisrael, he was able to be Ma'achid the Klal Yisrael through being a Oyev Shalom and Roidev Shalom. And through being Ma'achid the Klal Yisrael, he was able to be Mekarev the Klal Yisrael through the Avodah to the Eibishter to Hashem Echad. Aber der Oifen Achi Gadol von Chibur to the Eibishter is mit der Koyach HaTorah. Kodesh Brichu v'Yisrael v'Areis Echadu is the Kohen Gadol, the Sifsei Kohen Yishmru Das, that hid Avodah to Ma'achid the Klal Yisrael, and then to Mekarev the Klal Yisrael to the Eibishter, the Kohen Gadol, the Kohanim, the Kohen Gadol v'Miyuchid, the Sifsei Kohen Yishmru Das. Das was Moshe gesagt, Ein Lonu El Hashem Echad, V'Torah Echad, V'Kohen Gadol Echad. Im Pasuk steht, V'Shinantam Levanecha, Chazal Darshan Levanecha, Elu Al Talmidim. It's Feshket Shaila. Let the Torah say, V'Shinantam Letalmidecha. In Pachitzok steht, the Yachas that an Av has to a Ben, that Yachas is that an Av has a Chiyus. And through being Moiser his Chiyus to his Ben, that's the Oifen how he shafts a Ben. And that's the only Oifen how a Ben could be a Ben of an Av, through the Av being Moiser his Chiyus to his Ben. A Rav or a Talmud is Nishnor, he's Malamed to a Talmud Torah. A Rav is a Taish, hat sein eigene Chiyus, sein Chiyus Nitzchi, sein Chiyus HaTorah. Und ist Meister von seiner Chiyus through his Limud HaTorah to his Talmidim. And through that, he shafts the Talmud. He shafts the Chiyus by the Talmud. He shafts Shinantam Levanecha El Talmidim. That's the aside of a Yachas Marav Talmud. Das versteht in Torah, Shinantam Levanecha El Talmidim. It's not in my place to say Divrei Hesped about Mori Rabbi Pinchos. Or we can say what we was doichet to Makabel. In unser Yeshiva, wir haben gehabt, a Kohen Gadol, a Sifsei Kohen Yishmru Das V'Torah Yevakish Mipiu. We were doichet to see a dogma, what it means, Kiyem Chayenu. What it means that the Chiyus von a mensch is mamish Zayne Torah. It was commanded impossible to pass by on the aisle by his table and not to hear was mit der Rashba, was mit der Ramban. When you ask Rebbe, how are you? The answer is Ashvar Taisvis. Through all Matzavim in life, he only wanted to talk about is the Rebbe Kveger and the Ktsois Navi Nezer. It was Pasha Kiyem Chayenu. The einzige Chiyus was Erika hat. Und we were Zoicha that his Chiyus, mit seiner Be'ahava, that we were Zoicha to hear reverberate in this base medrash a few times a year, Be'ahava. Yene Be'ahava that carry with it his Mesira to Talmidim, hundreds and hundreds of hours of Ava to Talmidim, Navas Abrius, giving time, being Oyev Shalom, Roidev Shalom, for Oyev Abrius, Yeneb Ava that trucked all the Avos Yisrael and Avos Talmidim. With that Ahava, he was moister from that Chiyas, from his Chiyas, from his Dama Nefesh, that was saturated with Tzois and Nesivis, and he was moister to us the Talmidim. He was moister ba'ofen that he taught us, he gave us unsere Chiyas. He taught us was haste to learn in Rashba, was haste to haben a Geschmack von der Kasche von der Teusvis, was haste to liegen in Rabbi Kveger and the Tzois, was haste to haben a Geschmack to earn a Geschmack of Shiloh from Reb Shulei, from Shila Kutno, was haste to the Simcha to Miyashiv and Shver Goyin in Shulchan Aruch. Heradoyev is Abriyos Mekaven LeTorah. His Mekaven LeTorah wasn't through saying Sichis and Joshes to influence in Talmidim Geschmack, in Geschmack and learning. His Mekaven LeTorah was Pashit, enabling us to listen to him say a shir. Through every shir, the splendor and the grandeur of Torah was in full display for everyone to see. Through every sugya, the way he built up a sugya from the Rishonim, and then to the Achronim, and being down all the Svaris, and then going back to the Rishonim, had to hear the famous words. So the Rashba yell like Reb Kveger, Nishri Reb Kveger. The Ramban yell like Reb Chaim, and Nishri Reb Chaim. And then to go to the next sugya, and to be followed by how the next sugya is affected by this sugya, and to show how every sugya is a magnificent edifice of Torah, and how Geschmack Torah is. It was a pashat of massive of Mekaven LeTorah. It was impossible to sit through a shir and not walk out from the shir and have a tremendous cheshek to go to Beis Medrash and to sit and to HaRav and Geschmack after experiencing Azah Simcha Torah, Azah Geschmack and Liman Torah. Ashreinu shedachinu lekach. When Be'ez Hashem, Ozadan HaMelech Yosher, had a Choshev Rebbetzin, she enabled him to do all that he did. So the Doris and Doris and Doris of Talmidim, so the ganze Yeshiva, der sein Bila Mavas on Netzach and Hashem Kim Dimam Yakapon B'nei Omen.
HaRav Chaim Kirevitz.
I came to the Yeshiva. Pinchos was my first Chavrusa. I had a geweldige schia. He learned with me for 3 months. I didn't know anybody in the Yeshiva at all. He befriended me, and he gave me a place to come into the Yeshiva. And that Yedidus remained for life. We were roommates, all kinds of connections. I remember in the Shia, the Pinchos was dingzach with the Rosh Yeshiva, and the Rosh Yeshiva once said, Pinchos bist alam mi beit nimai. That was his expression. Later, I was in the Kollel. Then he went to Baltimore. When I was Yeshiva there. And I remember, before that, he lived in Borough Park. We lived near close to each other. We were in the Mirror Minion. And Abban Kreisel was there. Anyway, we're talking and learning. He went out to Pinchos, and Abban Kreisel said to me, I saw you, man. They got to find a place for him in the yeshiva. That's where he belongs. They can't let him go. He told it to me a few times. Baruch Hashem, it was this Chaim. I don't know if it was a bracha or just I don't know what it was. But it was this Chaim. And he came to the yeshiva. And Pierce Levenberg, ZT'L, I met him once when he had heard that a Pinchos is coming. So he said, oh, the Rosh Yeshiva took an assistant. That was how he describes it. The description was perfect. It was right. But not from Reb Pinchos' handling. Not at all. He was no different than anybody else. The overwhelming brilliance didn't let you see the Moyedika Nova. He was so unassuming, it was unbelievable. Nothing, no weight, no anything. Zero. He's like everybody else. But he's not like everybody else. He's a brilliant Talmud Chacham. I can't describe that completely. I wasn't in his share. I can only tell you how my relationship was with him. He was a Dover Nifla. Rabban said over from the Rosh Yeshiva ZT'L that the Pinchos has the hearts of a Talmud Chacham. But what does it mean, the hearts of a Talmud Chacham? It's not only in learning. He was a Goyen in learning. It was more than that. Far more. Not far more. I wouldn't say that. I don't know what words to use. The Gemilas Chesed was unbelievable. His interest in an olam was not shaykh. Anybody spoke to him. Everybody and anybody was no difference. No nafkamina. Ben Kotten, Ben Godel. He handled with everybody. And he was concerned for everybody. He had tremendous concern. With tremendous achnosis orchim. All that you want to say, that's the hearts of a Talmud Chacham. But the humility was unbelievable. He was never sick for a number of years. But the one thing that everybody saw, even though there was really a nest that happened in the middle, he got a little better. I don't even know if that ever happens. He was a little better. And we're hoping that maybe... But what came out was the enormous kibbud av, his wonderful mishpacha. How many people live such a kind of mishpacha? Gewaltige Talmidei Chachamim, Anochim Chshuvim, Anochim Yireim, Mamash Ushleimim, children, the kinder, the Einiklach. You saw the imprint of the parents on the children, Mamash, not Shaykh, from a Pinchos and his Choshev Rebbetzin. And there's something I want to say. I was at a chasana, and Pinchos was there, and his aide was taking care of him. I couldn't believe it. He had such an understanding of what he has. It was unbelievable. He got it. he understands that he's handling a gem. His treatment was so nice and so edel and so fine, it wasn't shaykh. So I said it to one of the children. They said, yeah, he got it. He understands it. He understands who's who. It was a davar nifla. The Pinchos leaves over a meritic legacy, gewaltige children, all Talmidei Chachamim, mamash ad lahafli, bedugma shaloi, mamash. You see the imprint in the picture of the Pinchos. All the hundreds and hundreds of Talmidim that he handled, the gewaltige cheshik in Torah and the gewaltige geschmack in learning, there was nothing like it. He got it, and all that was important for the Pinchos was say good pshat and that toisvis. That's all that was negeya. Everything else wasn't relevant. That's all there was, and that's all what was important. The Eibusher should give the Choshev Rebbetzin koyach. And all the kinder koyach. They have a mother to Yerusha. Pila Mobus like that.
HaRav Yerucham Olsen.
Steht in Shaya Tzadik Ovad, wenn ich so mal lebe, an Shechesed Nesofim beim Meven. Ich mich freue zu sagen, kein Hesped auf ein größer Jid, ein größer Mensch. No, fühlt sich mit der Pinchos wie ein Ben besprochen, wenn wir sind aufgewachsen zusammen, mit dem Sprachesbeschleißer, mit dem gerufen, ein Deut, ein Onkel und sein Freund wieder eine Tante. Sie werden die gewaltige Nonnkeit und wenn die Pinchos kommen in die Sprache, vielleicht wie ein Mensch in die Sprache, hat Tzadik Ovad, wenn ich so mal lebe, ich kann nicht sagen, kein Espeidem, aber es geht der Werk, also jeder Tzadik wird verloren von uns, ist der Vermessung sein Leben. Der Teil ist der Tzadik Ovad, wenn ich so mal lebe, und auf seiner Sommer lebe, er fühlt mich nicht treu, man kann nicht sagen, kein Hesped, aber mit auf seiner Sommer lebe, wann sich Chesed Nesofim, was meint es an sich Chesed Nesofim, die Welt meint, ein Mensch, was tut Chesed, der war der getan Chsodim, aber was ist der ämestige Chesed? Sagt der Chosid Jaiwitz, steht Ani Hashem oise Chesed, der Eibishter sagt auf sich, Kaviochel, der Eibishter sagt, Ani Hashem oise Chesed, sagt der Chosid Jaiwitz, in Pergdale sagt er, Ani Hashem oise Chesed, meint man, Chesed Amiti, der ämestige Chesed, Cheninas Hadas Lavidosoi, und es steht, das ist der ämestige Chesed, was Pinchos Kol Yomov, Minu Urav Mamish, hat gewesen neusig in dem Chesed Amiti, von Habosses Teure, Lernen Teure, Melamed sein Teure, das ist gewesen, mit Yom Rishim, von das ganze Leben seines gewesen, Ani Hashem, Moise Chesed, Chesed Amiti, Habotz ist teure, hat Marbetz teure gewesen. In der Sache bekommen es hat teure, und da letztens der Sache in der Yeshiva, der heilige Yeshiva. Und es steht in Posik, Ani Hashem oisach chesed. Fragt der Chosid Yaivis, was ist Ani Hashem oisach chesed? Sieht sich chesed. Wir reden doch wegen teure, ich habe getan, der Beuram hat gegeben uns eine teure Akdeutsche. Was ist Ani Hashem oisach chesed? Sagt er, Yedei Anoshim shem shluchim li. Sie da shluchim. Lauf gucken auf am Arbeitsteurer Rebbe, ist nicht, tut allein, tut das Schliches von Beräulam. Tut das Schliches, Ani Hashem oisach chesed, der Beräulam tut chesed, Yedei Anoshim shem shluchim li. Hat nicht passiert das gewesen, ein ganzes Leben von Teure, vom Arbeitsteure sein. Der Rabbi Yoina schreibt, Mishachanone ja, Shem Yisbor Deyo. Darf wissen, dass es Yeshiva Liebe, ki Hashem Yisbor Sholchoi Boilam Hazeh hat ihm geschickt, auf Ashlichus. Und steht dort, in Rabbi Yoina, weil Yifkach Einov, so losi aloide Shlichusoi. Das wäre Pinchos, Lo Yifkach Einov, wird nicht geguckt, nicht auf rechts, nicht auf links, nicht geguckt auf keine Sache, nicht in der Welt. Nur auf der größte Schlichus, der Schlichus Ani Hashem, oisach chesed, der Anoshim shem shluchim li, es war Schliach von Beräulung zum Arbeitsteure sein. Hat gelernt Teure und Arbeitsteure gewesen, sein Teure, seine Lichtigkeit, es steht, Bezalel ben Uri, was der Pshat ben Uri sagt, sagen wir Forscher ben Uri, geht auf die Eura Teure, von dem hat gescheint, die Eura Teure, es gewesen ein Stück Teure, gewesen, Kol Yomov, nicht geguckt, auf keine Sache nicht in der Welt, nur auf der größte Schlichus, der größte Schlichus, der Schlichus von Marbetz Teure sein. Das ist der Chesed Amiti, was Teuse gewesen, Kol Yomov, und der größte Marbetz von Chesed. Durch Yeshiva, so heute Woche bringt mich das Abarin, steht in Posik, Hallo Seidu, Kisar v'Godel Nofel Ayom b'Yisrael. In alle Deures ist da, sorry, mit Gedoylem, was ist Sar v'Godel, sagt er, Godel meint, der Mensch, was ist Godel mit Zadatzmoi. Es größt in Teure, en größt in Yerushalayim, en größt in alle Meiles und Mides von der Talmud Chochem. Hagoyen, Otzum bei Teure, sei Bekiyas, sei Lomdis, a Tzadik in Zalazai Meisem Teuvim. Das ist Godel, aber es ist da Sar ve Godel, Nofel Haim Yisrael. A Sar meint ein Mensch, was führt andere Menschen, er ist am Arbeitsteure, er ist Maschpia, mit seinen Teure, mit seinen Jire, mit seinen Mides Teuvis, er ist ein Maschpia. Das kann man sagen, auf der Pinchos, das ist Hallo Seidu, mit der Wissen, Kisar ve Godel, ist nicht nur da in der Yeshiva sein Evel, für die ganze Olam Teure steht, als Zadik geht weg von der Welt, als Jid, was ist, wie man sagt, ist besonder, dass es Zadik aufhat, Sar ve Godel noch von Israel, aber steht da, dass es eine Aveide für den ganzen Klal Israel. Wer ist Mekasher, steht doch, als in Yerushalmi steht, lo man nisbach und misches Aaron, das schwieres Aluchais, כשקושם מיסס צדיקים לפני הקדוש ברוך הוא, כי יום של שטבר הלוחס, sagt Yeshiva, זכרנו לברכה, לוחס, der Wesen, der Chibur, zwischen Knesset Yisrael und הקדוש ברוך הוא. Das ist der schwieres Haluchas, hat geschaffen, Apirut, aber es ist dort Tzadikim, was eine Mechaber, Klal Yisrael, es ist dort Gedäude, was eine Mechaber, ganz Klal Yisrael zum Beräulam. Und da winzig ein, aber ein Pinchos ist gewesen von die Gedäude Tzadikim, von die, was haben ein ganzes Leben gelebt, teure, und hat Mechaber gewesen, uns zum Beräulam. Das ist, steht, Gedäude Mises Tzadikim, Geschwirres Haluches, der Luches von Mechaber gewesen, ist da, im Ichidem Tzadikim, Gedäulem, wo es eine Mechaber Klal Yisrael mit dem Beräulam, es geht da weg, ein Tzadik, sagt er, geht da weg, ein Tzadik ist ein Chibur, da verstehen, mit seinem Kolzmann, der Tzadik ist dort, seinem Mechubes im Beräulam, es geht da weg, ein Zayid, es ist mir auch gerissen vom Beräulam, also wie Schwirres Haluches, ist geworden ein Psapirut, Und ich will übersagen ein Wort von meiner Yeshiva, Reb Schneider, Zichrono Livrocha, auf der heutige Parsche, was ich meine, das ist sehr zugepasst zum größten Nifter. Steht das mit Gebäude der Mishkan, wir gedacht haben, auf eine Scheuer, auf eine Meluyim, aber nicht gehabt. Wenn nicht gehabt, geht er von dem Teufels, dem Argolies, aber nicht gehabt. Steht Medrisch, steht Harisiyim Eviu, den Nisiyim, die größte Jeden haben gebracht, auf eine Scheuer, auf eine Meluyim. Aber steht Medrisch, als die auf eine Scheuer, auf eine Meluyim, sind Jordlem im Ammon, sind runtergegangen, in der Shamayim in Ammon. Hat Yeshiva sich eine Woche gefragt, 3 Kashes, er sagte, man hat 3 Kashes. Erstens, was ist Tafke Nisiyim? Jeder Jid hat gehabt Mon. Soll alle sollen haben, alle Jiden haben gehabt Mon. Soll jeder einer bringen, aber im Teufel zum Agolies. Jordlem am Mon, allem gehabt Mon. Was ist Tafke Nisiyim? Nordem hat er gefragt, man darf doch Bäumen, mit der Schlisch hat er auch gegeben in der Shamayim. Aber die Mitzvah ist gewählt, man darf allein bauen in der Mishkan. Was soll ich mich durch? Klar, ich soll da bauen in der Mishkan. Was man darf machen? Was geht nicht doch ab in der Shamayim, ein Punkt. Da wurde im Teufels mal Gott sein gegangen mit der Shamayim. Stimmt nicht mit was soll ich mich durch? Und was ist der Loschen? Jordlem am Ammon? Jord mit der Shamayim. Ich will sagen, als er wurde im Teufels sind runtergegangen mit der Shamayim. Was ist mit dem Mon? Was ist die Kirche? Was ist die Scheiches? Als er runtergegangen mit dem Mon. Hat er gesagt, in Claudius soll der Menschen, was darf den ganzen nicht haben, kein Mishkan. Der darf nicht haben, kein Mokim Teure, der darf nicht haben, kein Beis Medrisch. Sie da jeden sagen, dass nein, man darf haben, ein Beis Medrisch. Das ist eine sehr wichtige Sache. Sehr, sehr wichtig für die Kinder von Claudius soll so haben, Bote Medrisch, so haben Teure, sind wichtig, sehr, sehr, sehr wichtig. Aber sie da eine Tage von Yechidi-Schule, was verstehen, das ist der Lebensehre. Sie können nicht leben, wie der Rambam sagt. Alle wissen, der Rambam sagt, der Rambam bringt, bei Chochma, bei Aksher, bei Teure, steht, bei Chai, ist Kemisse. Auf der Amore steht, im Chai, wenn er Chos, lernt nicht kein Teure. Teure ist Leben. Sie sind gebracht für Reb Chaskel Sahne in einem Brief. Fragt, was ist eine Yeshiva? Da haben wir Abchatzkel Sahne, sagen, was ein Yeshiva ist. Ein Yeshiva ist ein Ort, wo man sitzt und lernt. Junge Leute, Bochum sitzen und lernen Teure. Das ist ein Yeshiva. Nicht da sagt Abchatzkel Sahne, wir wissen das alle. Sagt ein Yeshiva ist, man darf rausgehen, was darf man lernen? Ki heim chayenu v'ech yameinu. Es ist nicht, jeder eine sagt, B'shas Meirem sagt, ki heim chayenu v'ech yameinu. Ein Yeshiva darf reingeben in jeder eine, der Chiyuh seiner ist Teure. Kann nicht leben an Teure. Es ist doch gewesen, Yechidi-Schule, was ohne Mishkan kann sie nicht leben, ist nicht nur eine gute Sache. Das ist der Chiyus, das ist ihr Leben. Und Teure ist nicht doch kein Leben. Und Mishkan ist, wenn man spielt, sein Teure auf der größten Madrega. So steht ein Mädrischer Pass bei Jakel. Bezahler hat gefragt, was ist das Mishkan? Hat Moshe Rabbeinu gesagt, von Bereilam hat ihm gesagt, Mishkan ist ein Ort, was der Bereilam sagt, ich will auch kommen lernen Teure. Und ich darf haben am Mokke von der Schreis, ich darf haben am Mokke zu lernen Teure. Die Zeit von Mishkan ist lernen Teure. Und sie da gewesen, Yechidi-Schule, Nisiyim. Was ist Jordan beim Ammon? Hat der Yeshiva geteilt, Mon darf man haben leben, darf essen. Ein Mensch kann nicht leben und essen. Ist sie da jeden, was sie können nicht leben, die Nisiyim Israel, die Yechidi-Schule haben nicht gekannt leben. Und am Mishkan. Und aber ein Teufel zum Agolies, dem gemachte Mishkan mit sehr Rotzin, sie können nicht leben am Mishkan, sie müssen haben auf sehr Chiyus. Jordan am Ammon. Das ist gewähnt der Chaim für Pinchos. Die ganze Leben seiner. Ich denke ihm noch als Chosin. Ich denke ihm noch Phase gewähnt als Chosin. Aber die Chiyus seiner, ganze Leben, nicht nur Teure ist eine gute Sache. Teure ist nicht nur Teure ist der beste Schreure. Und Teure ist nicht doch kein Leben, ist nicht doch kein Leben. Und das hat er reingegeben in seinen Talmidim. Das hat er reingegeben in seine Kinder und seine Sprache. Aber das ist nicht nur Ki heim chayenu, der Rest der Zorre, das heißt, Teure ist nicht Ki heim chayenu, v'ech yameinu. Das ist gewesen, mit Zorre. Ich will noch endlich mit den Wörtern von Rosh Yeshiva, Zichrono Livrocha, Mishnah Sabarin. Wenn er hat gesagt, der Hesped hat gesagt, also steht, du hast das Wort von Rabaren, hat er gesagt, dass steht doch, Kinisinoso, Kach Nitiloso. Also wie mit gegeben Teure, Beschisch im Riebe, also Nitiloso, es darf sein Beschisch im Riebe. Was ist der Pschad, was ist die Scheiches? Sagt er, weil es, wenn er dem Gottel geht er weg, Nicht platt geht weg, lost für uns. Es ist eine Linie von der Kabbalas HaTorah, also wie eine Sinnes HaTorah, das ist eine Sinnes HaTorah. Und das ist eine Sinnes HaTorah, was da vom Shishem Riebe. Pinchos hat gehabt, gewaltig mit Madreges in Torah, wenn Goyen hat zum Torah, in Bekies, in Lomdis, wenn Goyen hat gelost seine Madreges, mein Leben ist wenn Torah, das hat gelost für seine Talmidim, von seinen Kindern, für seine Sprache. Schreibt Rosh Yeshiva, Ater Legioine Shel Melech, da die Yeshiva Gdoshe, das ist, hat es angerufen, Legioine Shel Melech, Loim de Torah va Meilen bo, Atem, ihr, der bei Yeshiva, Marzike mit Torah, und Marzike Bam Yisrael Kuloi, kam Zrichim, Lotzeis Goinem Gedoilem, von euch darf rauskommen, von später der nächste Tag, Goinem Gedoilem, Yirei Hashem, Anshe Yemes, darf rauskommen von der Mokem Torah. Und das ist Atem, Kol Yisoid Kiem Huma, ihr der Talmidim, die Kinder dürfen sein, das ist die Yisoid von Klal Yisrael. Alles ist toll in euch. Alles ist toll, wie Midas, wie viel ist an so eine Dovek in Teure, wie viel Teure ist Chaim Chayenu, wo ich Yameinu, Chizku, wie Yimsu, wie Shazu, das soll bechazig sein in der Zeit. Yesh Achshov, Hashpoyis, Gedoilis, das ist eine Tilose, Kedisinoso. Das ganze Leben von der Pinchos ist gewesen ein Leben von Teure, es gewesen ein Leben von Chaim Chayenu, wo ich Yameinu, Teure ist gewesen sein Leben. Wie mit gehört früher, das ist Teure, das gewesen sein Leben. Der Midas Emes hat gebrennt in ihm. Ich darf sich alle mechazig sein und übernehmen. Die größte Madrege ist, bei mir der Ma, jeder eine soll nehmen und von dem soll rauskommen, Gedäulen mit Tzadikim. Ich will sagen, als Tebisch, soll sein eine größte Melisjöische, für sein Choshev im Sprache, von der Rebetzin, soll gesund und stark sein, als Schutif in seine größte Pule ist, von Aufstellen, die gewaltige größte Sprache, von gewaltige Deule Teure, soll sein Mila, Moves und Netzach, und Mocha Hashem Dima, weil Kolponim, Amen, Amen.
Rav David Kahn.
The Indian of Hesped is Isius Hefsed. So the Indian of Hesped is to show the Yechidus of the Nifter. And that's what I'd like to speak about. We go back generations. We learned Bechavrusa, Turbas Yosef, not the whole thing, but a good deal of Hilchas Erevin together. And I knew his mishpacha, his illustrious father ZT'L, who said shiurim in the shul where we davened, which was the Yeshiva, Rabbeinu Chaim Berlin. And my father ZT'L heard decades of shiurim from his father. And this is what I'd like to speak about, how it was a beginner of Avram Hoyled Es Yitzchak. Rav Runevan ZT'L once told me, he was by the Chafetz Chaim, and the Chafetz Chaim said, Gemara Metaisvis, Sidach Hazei Geschmack, and he smacked his lips. Rav Runevan told me, when he heard that and saw that, as soon as he left the Chafetz Chaim, he ran to the Beis Medrash and he started to learn, and you couldn't take him away from the Beis Medrash because of the great tainug that the Chafetz Chaim showed that is inherent in Limud HaTorah. And that is the midah that I want to speak about, the nifter, and the same thing in the darga of Avram Hoyled Es Yitzchak. His father Zal was a Litvish Yid who literally salivated when he said a shir, and he gave over the tainug of Limud HaTorah when he learned. And that's what Rav Pinchos was all about. He was all about the tainug of limud HaTorah. And I believe that if there's anything that goes into being a mechanech, is this ingredient of giving over the tainug of limud HaTorah. And this is what the Nifta was so successful in giving over the geschmackheit of limud HaTorah. You would call it the sine qua non of Mesiras HaTorah, because with that you're matzliach, that it becomes teifeach al manos lahatfiach. There are many psukim in the Torah that are both, in Tanakh I should say, that are both tzivuyim and yiyud. For instance, v'shavta ad Hashem alekecha. So the pasuk is going to say, the pasuk says that in Achros Hayom there will be this kiyum of tshuva gemura. It's a yiyud, but it's also a chiyuv that it's a tzivoy of v'shavta ad Hashem alekecha. We all know that when a person finishes a hesped, the minig is to be Messiah with Bila Amavos Lanetzach, Umacha Hashem, Dimma Meyal Kol Panim, V'chelpes Hama Yosef. That's the minig Yisrael. And when the Gemara quotes it as I just said it. However, we also know that the Novi is saying that this is what's going to take place in Achros Hayomim. Except in the pasuk, it's not only Hashem, the way it says in the Gemara. It says, Umacha Hashem Elokim Dima Miyal Kol Panim. The difference is that when you say Hashem, it's like a bakosha. And that's what the Gemara means. We're being mevakash for the midas rachamim. Please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, be Mekayim the Sinyan. When we say the Shem Elokim, l'chayre, it means that even in Achros Hayomim, even the Midah of Din will be Makabel, the fact that Klal Yisrael suffered enough. So it's not only Hashem of a Bakosha, it's the Yiyud of Hashem Elokim, that even the Midas Hadin will be Maida, that Klal Yisrael has suffered enough, and it's time for Mocha Hashem Elokim Dima Meyal Kol Panim. I believe that in our Kufa that we're in right now, we can make this statement that Klal Yisrael has suffered enough, so we hope that Mocha Hashem Elokim Dima Meyal Kol Panim v'chelpes Amo Yosef. Amen v'yamein.
HaRav Reuven Lienberg.
Many years ago, I asked the Yeshiva Zecher Tzadik Levracha why he wasn't masper a gewisse Talmid Chacham that would have been appropriate he should do so. And he said to me, Ich ken nicht. The Indian von a Hesped is Meir sein Lebechi. And ich ken das nicht tan. L'maisa, anybody that was Zoicha to learn with Rav Pinchos, anybody that was Zoicha to talk and learning with Rav Pinchos, had a te'ima, a geschmack, that you don't have to be ma'or lebechi. Anybody who knew him, as you heard before, anybody who knew him knows that today we say that meveint because hay shufra de bola biyara. There was nobody like him. I remember Taka when the Yeshiva said that Rav Pinchos was a lamdin mi beten imai. I don't know if it was mamish mi beten imai, but when Rav Pinchos was be'erach 15 years old, his father was not well and he was not able to say his shir. And Rav Pinchos, at the age of, I think it was between 15 and 16, took over the shir. This is a lamdin mi beten imai. It didn't happen only from the years of his asmada and his dveikis b'Torah. It was reingewurzelt in his neshama, me'oidai, from the day that he was born. He had that rich Yerusha from his father. And he continued it kol yemei chayav. Rav Pinchos had gehad an offene cup. The bekiyas, the geschmack, the pshat, the oimek. I remember once telling the Yeshiva Rabbaran Zechreinu Levracha that Rav Pinchos said there's a certain miktsaya in Torah that's really not his. And the Yeshiva Rabbaran said, Nish zayin dik zayns versteht es besser than all of those that think it's really theirs. That's what Rabbaran said to me. Rav Pinchos's offene cup was attached to an offene hearts. His oimek hachesed was truly unbelievable. People could come into his house, would come into his house and still be there months later. And it wasn't they were just living there. And Rav Pinchos had sich angegeben mit sei. Rav Pinchos was metapel in chasodim that were not always pleasant. I remember a time there was in Yeshiva a chasana which was very problematic, shall we say. And many, many years ago, when it was a fortune, Rav Pinchos had a leg avek a mashkin kidei that the chasana should take place b'shalom. And the Yeshiva Zechreinu Levracha Rabbaran was at the time a novel. And they were sitting together and the Yeshiva came to the chasana. Many years earlier, Rav Pinchos had asked Rav Gusterman, a Talmud was getting married in Memphis, and Rav Pinchos was a novel. And he asked Rav Gusterman, am I allowed to go to the chasana? And Rav Gusterman said to him, du fährst nicht auf a chasana, du fährst auf Binyan HaTorah. And he went. And by this chasana where Rav Pinchos gave the mashkin, he was sitting next to Rabbaran the Yeshiva. And every 10 minutes, the Yeshiva turned to Rav Pinchos and he said, Rav Pinchos, meg ich sein da? Rav Pinchos, meg ich tanzen? Rav Pinchos was his Meira Hayra and how we should fezach at that chasana. And the Dav wissen that if you look in davening, there are 2 times the steht the Tefillah. In Shemon Esrei and Shabbos steht früher mitzvahs und nach dem Torah. In HaRav steht früher Torah und nach dem mitzvahs. In Shemon Esrei sagt der Yeshiva, when a person does mitzvahs, it's metayirim and it's machshir him for limud Torah. And if you ever saw Rav Pinchos's diktuk in halacha, you know where the kedusha that was inherent in everything that he did came from. And in Goyin state, that Torah gives a tam in the mitzvahs that you do. Meant that the mitzvahs tun sich handish. Reb Pinchos was a Baal Chesed Nifla, but also is gewachsen from Divrei Torah. It was not that he had a good heart only, it was that the Ofen a cup in Divrei Torah created an Ofen a cup for Chesed and caring for every Yid that came in his Dalet Amos. Yitzias Tzaddik v'na'ir oiser roishim. When the tzaddik goes away, you come to the realization of what it was that you had. It's true that Reb Pinchos, his whole life, made such a roshim that it was not felt. But when he went away and he's not with us anymore, that roshim is azoifil tifa. But it's oiser roshim when he leaves behind azam mishpacha mefoyara. Talmidei Chachamim, Yirei Shemayim, Oivdei Hashem, that go in his derech and Amakayim it la'olam. And the Eibishter zal helfen that the beautiful Mishpacha zal sein traced for the Rebbetzin, and it should be a chizuk for all of us that the Yeshiva had the loss and the Yevelt had the loss, and the Eibishter zal helfen that Zainu Bila Amovos LaNetzach, and Yehei Zichroi Baruch.
HaRav Avram Yehuda.
Ma, I'm doing your shlichus. Ta, I assume I'm here because I'm the first one that the children that called you Ta. I want to ask you, Mechila, for speaking about you, which is it's insane. It's not right. And with that, Mechila, for not being there every moment like you were for us. Never Messiach Das. Never Messiach Das. Never stopping from encouraging. Teire Brüder und Schwester. Klonu b'nei Yeshechad anachnu. Wir alle schreien, Ovi. Noch ein Petira von unserer Tate. Ovi is a yachas of a father. A tata that was mashpia, Ovi, hashpav, of a tata of asagas gedoilis, the hoimina asagas Chaim in Torah, or roimim sanefesh. Ovi is also feed Rosh, also lashon of Ratzon, Layava Yadni. From a young age, we all knew that it was the source of our Ratzon, V'cheshkes HaTorah, and Diktik B'mitzvahs, Simchas HaChaim, Chaim Chayenu, the Hoibin HaShabbosim, Zmanei Kodesh, it all came from you. Without Hesach Hadas, in all Matzon, and this will more have me gehört, Shem Rabbi and others, the Divrei Chazal, Kol HaMoed Mois, Aladim Kosher, Kodesh Baruch Hu, Soifron, Umenicham, Beweis Gnazov, and Bekitz, Serev Shabbos, Bekitz, that the Mois, Beweis Gnazov, and dann wächst, the Tal Shel Tchiyah, many times said it over with such a conviction. Von dann entwachsen. Was kann man reden von Mois auf Adam Kosher? That was Meir Mois. Mois shall gil for every simcha of a yachid and every simcha of a tzibur. The Mois shall tsar. Many times I found with a tehillim, he's banging the hearts for them and for them. Tzachi HaKlal, Tzachi HaYachid, with an endless list. The Lashon Chazal is married Ma'asal Adam Kosher. What's an Adam Kosher? I heard durch sich beschenkt, the Pri Chadash. Just like a behemoth Sheira is kosher only if it's bekoyach to live Yud Beis Chodesh. That means that it could live through all the effects of the different seasons. So too, that's an Adam Kosher. Someone that remained Davik, the Eibishter, the Yerasa, in all Matzavi Achayim. Boy, did it show itself in the last Kufa. On a daily basis, with Beid Luchis, Modem Lamokim, Modem Laodom, Shabbos Haim. So it Keseda, Mamish. The Yeshamayim, the Svaras were, as spoken, were Kinasinasan, Gag al Gag. But when it came to Halacha, the Shulchan Aruch ruled. And if the Svara didn't say, read me the Mishnah Brura, well then Hilchas Eitzah, Vilske, Hilchas Gufnaki and Tefillin, Hilchas Tefillah. This, that, in Elul, in Yom Noirayim, Keseder, Rabbeinu Yaina was always next to him. In the last Kufa of Miyuchid, in the last 2.5 years, it never left him. He was preparing. And at the same time, he was cheerful for everyone else, and mechazik everyone else. Yeshamayim. Not so long ago, there was a Simcha ben Einikel. He came to give the Chasen a bracha. He was frustrated. He couldn't express himself. It didn't come out. He gave a geshrei. The bracha was Yerushalayim. That's all it was. It was kind of everything. That's his tzavah. That's. He had a special place for every yachid, every one of his children, every Talmud. And there, Heilige Yeshiva, Asablit, and it was a simcha for him. He told me it was hope they understand. It's hard for me to express myself. This disease robbed me from my Seva upon him Yafis. It's Erev Shabbos. The Babel Hashem, was Erev Shabbos. And Lezichra, Tati asked that we should make Shabbos on time early. It's Erev Shabbos. Tata, stayed in the Zmiris. Zog, Ona Melech Malchi Amlachim. Tzabeli Malachecha. Never, gleich herein Shabbos. Ki dlakti es Neiroisai. Chagitzind in Heilige Kinder, Mabisei Torah, Talmidim and Talmidim. Gones to Shemin. Mitzatis mitzah, mitasi shlema. The powerhouse of Yerushalayim. Yaakov Avinu. Chlafti sim loisai. If you didn't know the Yisurim of the last Tkufa, it's a chayz getan. Hat sich gereinigt. Ich freue mich Shabbos. Bilham of us on that should be, please be a Melitz Yeshiva for Mommy. He told me many times it's on Hoschus. All the time it's on Hoschus. The last thing he said, make sure you take care of yourself. Eat breakfast. David was angebenched. David with him yesterday. It's like 1,000 film. He davened. Finished. Basically, he said he was tired. It's like only Tasai. Osef is Raglov, Pashat is Yodov, Komatz is Einov, and it was Machs in the Shemos HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hast du die Zeit hat gekommen? Gib Schutoi. Ich geben Koyach, Mamschen sein Rotzen, Chazak sein, und weiter blieben, so sagt, Bilam Obslan Netzach, und Hashem Elokim Devam Elp Kolpon.
Rav Chaim Lezer.
Erev Shabbos, I was told it's time to be Mekatzer. So much to say. What I'll say will be as abchina von Hamidin al Achas or Hamidin al Shnayim. The Gemara says such things. He was a father, my sibling's father, but he was a father to so many Talmidim and even non-Talmidim, people that were nana me'atzasai, people were nana from a good word, a chizuk. There was two things that paralleled that was given. A moyach and a leiv. A moyach and a leiv. That didn't stop until the end. A moyach and a leiv. The moyach that was maimed Talmidim for close to 60 years of Habatas Torah. As we heard before, as is well known, Nosam Nafshoy B'chiyusay, to say the Shir, to be Ma'abitz Torah. The Torah is all arangen by the Talmidim, with the Chiyas that he was Margish. States, in Gemara state, Shtamish, we're on the pasuk with Talor is Talecha, Kolam Shtamish B'Tal Torah Mechayehu, Torah, Tal Torah. Steht in Mashah. Well, what is the Tal? What's the relationship? ZT'L Katal im Rosh steht. Was ist the Yichud von Tal? Tal. It comes on a steady basis. It's there all the time. Chaim la'olam. Chaim la'olam. So Torah is la'olam. La'olam. La'netzach. Aber we can hear in Tal steht, Tal. Tal is Mechaya. Tal keeps things fresh. Tal keeps things geschmack. And that was the Tal that he spread through the 60 years of Habatas Torah. The Tal, the Chiyas of the Tal was called Smeichin Boy. That everybody that heard the shir walked out with simcha. Anybody that said a word in learning, spoke to my father in learning. So the geschmack was so catchy, so totally. Tal, kol hamistamish V'tal Torah mechayehu. But there was another nekuda. Tal, that kol smeichen boy. Not only in the Torah, but our kol smeichen boy. There were people. All sorts. To clap dimension, they needed whatever they needed. The address was the house, any time of day, whatever Indian it was. Hakoil smeichen boy. My father gave his koiches hanefesh arein shir, mishtatif b'tzarosen shel Yisrael, b'simchosen shel Yisrael, a Talmud, Nishkin Talmud, whatever it may be. He was there and mishtatif b'chol koichai, b'chol nafshai. So hakoil smeichen boy. He was Marbitz Torah in many places. I remember Given Ayid that later came to this yeshiva. He worked here. Reb Moshe Margaret and Olav Shalom. He said to me, when your father left Baltimore was crying. Today, the whole world's crying. And as I feel about Satira, and as I feel Erta in so many places, we never heard any machlokes. It was like a kol smechen boy. We never heard any. A kol smechen boy. Whatever issues there were, he knew how to circumvent machlokes. Oyev shalom, roidev shalom, kemel ishgemen. Whatever it was, he tried his hardest to walk away. That machlokes should never exist. And that's what we carry on, his legacy. Tam shachas adoris, the chiyus, the chiyus that he gave us in Torah, the chiyus in mitzvahs, the chiyus in chesed. That's what I speak for myself, but that's what this mishpacha, the achrayas of this mishpacha, it lies on our shoulders to carry on this, his ratzon. The Tatat getan seins. Now it's up to us to carry on his legacy. Parshas Porah steht, Parshas Porah. Es Porah in Ramban steht, it's Nechkekes, mit Torah shel Baal Peh, in a Wörter in der Ramban, Nechkekes mit Torah shel Baal Peh. I saw a nekuda, Rebellia Weintraub brings in the Pirush on Nefesh Chaim, that it says as a hechetimtza of this, that the mitzvah of Porah is chokuk from Torah. Torah Shabbat Peh says the chiyas from Torah, the chiyas that the koyach of chiyas hamesim that lives in Torah was chokuk into the mitzvah of Porah. That's nechkekes. Nechkekes says chokuk in Torah Shabbat Peh, and that's what my father was chokuk into us and into all the Talmidim and all the doros that he was barbitz Torah. And I just want to ask Tata, you were barbitz Torah. I believe it's cut after 40 years in this yeshiva. The yeshiva was recently suffered a tremendous loss, and again we just suffered another loss. But we know that you are attached in heart and soul to this yeshiva. And I'm asking, Tata, please, Zaya Melitz Yosha, from Daimishpacha, from Mami, who did everything that's possible, shook heaven and earth to take care of you. Not for a moment was she Messiach das. For Mami, for the ganze Mishpacha, for your sons, for your daughter, for your Eneklach, everybody that's attached to you, and for the Heilige Yeshiva, and for Gans Klal Yisrael, who today needs tremendous rachamim, and you are always a mavakish rachamim, always a mavakish rachamim. So please, Zaya Gute Better for the ganze Mishpacha, for the ganze Klal Yisrael, for the ganze Yeshiva, Tag sein, U'mocha Hashem kem dimma me'al kolponim noimar amen.
Rav Menachem Mordechai.
Medrash steht, dan Chume, die Wachsparsche. It's going on B'Tzalel. The Medrash, Ru'kor B'Shem, Ru'kor Hashem B'Shem B'Tzalel. Steht in Medrash, Toiv Shem, Posik steht, Menayim imashe kor bein Ru'kor Hashem B'Tzalel. Zeu shekosov toiv shem mishem and toiv yoyim amovis miyoyim ivoldoy. Omru l'shloime ma toiv shem mishem and toiv. Omar lohem b'shosh odem noilad ein hakol yoyden mihu. Nifte b'shem toiv mashpia meisim toivim. Boyin Yisrael metaplen imoy. Oiset imoy kmilas chesed. Machrizen schwachoi boim. Ploini ze. Kama tzedokos. Kama teure, kama mitzvahs asei. Mishkovoi deim tzadikim. Also endlich mit das Rabbe. Similar. Ein Mensch ist Neuland, darf sein als Simcha. Und ein Mensch ist Meis, ist verkehrt, aber es ist the other way around. Ein Mensch geht da weg. Ein Mensch ist Neuland, man weiß nicht, was wird sein. Ein Mensch geht da weg. Mit Hashem Toiv. Hashem is a name that a person has. But Hashem Toiv is when he fears us. His name, he fears it always. Adel Tachlisa, Ada Soif. He fears it always. Bis the Soif, kommt an mit Hashem Toiv. It's the Spalsim Ba'olam, the Spalsim, the Hashem Toiv, es geht. Everybody knows Tati had a gewaltige Hashem Toiv. Dat von mir jung weiß on. Was soll ich sagen? Alles schon gerät. Mischte steht auf ich Shemevi l'chai olam haba. Rabbi Shemevi, Rabbi Shemevi l'chai olam hazeh. Rabbi Shemevi l'chai olam haba. Aber der Tate Shemevi l'chai olam hazeh, l'chai olam haba. Das ist gewinn die ganze von Jungweisson. What we got from the air, from it was by osmosis, but it was mamish with wir allem gerät schon, dat Geschmack, dat Teinuk. Der Tate folgt allem alle besorgen. Bei every Simcha, in the last Kufa, mamish every Simcha, said, wie Teusis bringt von Tanat Be'el Yo, Acha Odom Ispal, she ikonis Torah l'toich Gufoi. Ispal shlo ikonis Madanim l'toich Gufoi. The Tate fliegt retten Rafu. Das nicht Precious kommt noch. Das hat Tage noch weiter mit so schon. Das nicht Precious. Das Abu liegt. Where does it lie? The Tainuk. The Koicha Tainuk. Where does it lie? What's the Tainuk? The Tainuk in the very Torah. The Damanefesh. Ik ben schon geredet. Dat was dan mijn nefesh, mamish, the blood. Reb Kivega. He told me a few years ago. I think he was still saying shir, but it was very hard for him already. And we were learning. He said, ich kann nicht halten Chet mit Reb Kivega. Das ist schön. Also ich kann nicht halten Chet mit Reb Kivega. Reb Kivega, in the Rashba, the choice deceivers. And it was about he said his own Torah, harbe. But he said over, with such a geschmack. He said over, Reb Shmuel, Reb Nachum, with such geschmack. The eigene, about Sacha eigene Torah. But it was, he said, the chies and the geschmack in Torah. The Avis HaTorah, that was the Dama Nefesh, the Simchas HaTorah. Es geht allemal, schon gerät, allemal zusammen. Goes together. Avis HaTorah, and Avis Yisrael. Es geht zusammen, Mamish. Was der Emes of our after es geht zusammen. Jene große Herz, der neuse Oil. It's such gewaltige Chaverim. It's from his Bengil, and in less than his Bengil. I met Chaverim, old Chaverim. They told me, oh, your father, I love him. Ich hab mal sein Lieb. It was for his Torah, but for his Mensch, the ganze Mensch. Many. It was an astonishment portrait from so many people. The same Oistruk. Recently, that it came out over the years many times. He said the Dama Nefesh, the Gewen Reb Kivega. Im mitten Schlaf gesagt Schurim. Im mitten Schlaf Reb Kivega, im mitten Schlaf. Im Bad. The Minot Machvere. He was being Isaac in Samsara. Mit einer ganze Parsche. Und mitten Schlaf, he was talking about it. Weil das ist die ganze Chies, die weit bestattet mit seinem Rosh. Give me my Katze. As was mentioned, he had from his father, dass he given a Yerusha, the Tate given, the Zaydi given a Größe Talmud Chacham, shed the blood. His Tate always spoke about it, his father, dass he given, alt he given the Gemara. That was his chinuch from Mamish from 5 years old. As alt in the Gemara, man gehört von der Baba, Allah Ashol, Moichet Azoi, from her father, das given a Tzavah, when her brothers were coming to America, it's given the tzavah for the Elter Zayda. Hab bleib bei der Gemara. Und der Papa hat gesagt, ich habe Chaim gewinnen. Die Kinder und die Einiglich bleiben bei der Gemara. That was the biggest tzaf Tati. And with all his physical ailments now, that he couldn't learn. He couldn't. that he couldn't learn. That was the Tsar Godel. But we bleiben by the Gemara. They get the Gemara with Avis Yisrael. Without that, on everything else was like Shava Klum. Das the ganze, das gewesen. It was the Skyim. Loi mit Torah Lishma. Enemy men who ate him to Shia. Boy from Godel. The young guy who doesn't know here. Aber he was gewesen. Hunderte Menschen. Gefeide. Enemy men who ate him to Shia. Mommy was by Sinapsha. The daddy. The day was just all over. So bijna met Yosha. Voor Mommy. Von alle meine Brüder und Schwester, mein Schwager, the ganze Yeshiva. Tati was already Ma'abed's Torah before. It's Kahn to 60 years. Tati Ma'abed's Torah. When he started off, Yeshiva Eastern Parkway, he's noch alle Mekaimis that he went. Seine Meditation, von die Yeshiva, also viel Jahre gewesen. Ma'abed's Torah, he grew up here, he learned here, and then he was Ma'abed's Torah here, so viel Jahre. Tati! We can be better Mechila. I bet every Kippur, I used to ask him Mechila. He said, Machalach. Ich bet Mechila. But me and my ganze Mishpacha, we weren't there Kahn. Could have been more by you. I learned to do more. We fat in the letzte Kufa. We bet Mechila. Sei mir jetzt Yosha. Für mich. Und die ganze Mishpacha. Sei mir jetzt Yosha mit die Yeshiva. Ganz eure Materie, ganz klar Yisrael. Tate, du kommst dann auf Shabbos. Hast ein ganz Leben gearbeitet auf Shabbos. Du kommst dann auf Shabbos, Tate. Bila Movis Lunetzach, Mach Hashem, Kim, wir helfen,
Belio, Tzvi.
It's going, it's Petira, that's not for me to say. That's what you do. You could have said the Amel is Petira. Like Menachem just said, Mommy used to call me. Come listen by the bedroom door. And I listened to his share. I don't know if it was yesterday's share or the next day's share. Daddy. Shemayim. I don't know if Dale knows, but I made it a point to Yom Kippur, Nila tight. I sat next to him until I wasn't shy anymore. I moved, but I forget that the vet of Rabbeinu Yoina. He's right on myself, Oy, Mel Sisi. Ich gehe noch einmal, begins ne Reis. Hier ist schon mein Waffen. Als gewinn, like I said, in Shulchan Aruch, was steht in Shulchan Aruch, was steht nicht, Bruder.
years ago when the machla was getting to him a little bit, and his mind wasn't so clear. We were taking care of him, and I was walking with him, and he was about to turn on the light. He stops. Is it Shabbos today? He was a little bit mixed up, Papa. Shabbos. Is it Shabbos? Can I turn on the light? Oi. Shemayim is given in a week. Is in Yom Kippur today. Is in Molge Shemach Tisharim. As a mention meaning, as ZT'L is the ganze Jahr, the whole year, that's who they are, Yom Kippur. They change a bit. Kabel weiter, das ist verkehrt. Das ist verkehrt. Jeder Mensch, was ist an Yom Kippur? It's Yom Kippur today. The people in the Moich was not there, it's Yom Kippur today. Yom Kippur, the Bechias, and it was mispal was. And a broche. I mean, it's Davis. When you brought them later, Lazulas, a person's not created only for the good of somebody else, to help everybody else. He was becoming it, moving. He was thinking about everybody else, nicht von sich, nothing for him. The heart's far under, he was caring for others. People mentioned, as was mentioned. And the Bizyonis, sometimes he had also, I remember he asked me to come along one time. He held it would be better. Those are the Anivas, Hashem and Charbasim, Eloi Meshiv, and he went to do it anyway because that's what you had to do. I remember when it was in the Borough Park Center, when the Yeshiva Schoenel Levracha was there. He heard. I was in the room with him, and he said, I have to go help him. He started jumping out of the bed. I said, you can't go. No, I have to help the Yeshiva. What do you mean? The God's a man to help somebody else. You know, the Minsker Rebbe, I heard Bishmoy, someone was being Mishabert. Daddy, his going is Torah. He's not the Minsker Rebbe said, Rettig, and sein going is in Torah. I said, come on, going in Midas. Going in Midas. I remember he cared for everybody, he davened for everybody, he had a kind. I remember it was on the phone. An Indian, some Bachlim weren't behaving properly, and the people were asking him what to do, and there was a lot of worry. And then after he hangs up and he turns to me and he said, Ellie, I'm worried now you're going to be Ashbrip Kivegas Kasha. That's my worry. Steht in Mishtlei Libyas, Hein Rosh Anochim L'Gaga Rosh the Torah and the mitzvahs are tachshitim. Steht in Goyim for the person, the Torah for the Rosh, Libyas Chaim, Torah's Chaim, Rosh Shechov, Anochim L'Gaga Rosh and the mitzvahs for the Guf. B'Yemeim De'el the days that make for the Nesheim, steht in Goyim tachshitim, according to the Chshivas of who the issue was, the Mila. It was a Mila. It was Baal Seichel, so they made the tachshitim for the Rosh. With the Seichel is Baal Masim Toivim, they made for the Guf. Steht in Goyim, the Torah mitzvahs are the Atzmon there, the tachshitim for the mensch, for the Rosh, for the Guf. Torah is the Rosh, mitzvahs and Guf. I thought zugedeckt mit der Schied. Oh, ganzen zugedeckt, der Schied, und auch mit der Schied in der Teure, der Mitzvahs, der Mitzvahs Teufels, die hier ist schon Chaim. Wie viel Schiuren, wie viel Chius in der Schier. Mommy, you was there with Tati. You boy. Alle maat salven is to tell us. The Baruch Shalom help him weiter. The Baruch Shalom give you koyach, the Tag game weiter. Aus in the ganze Mishpoche. Mit der Chabdach Agais Yerusha, Kovet Chachom, Yinkolu, steht im Goyen, Leidayle Chachom, Sheyi Alem Kovet. Ele Shenoichel im Gamle Bneim HaKovet. Oi. We all knew when we were babies and on, it was what the house was all about, alles gedreht. If it was versteht in the Gemara, and as we said, it was in the Yerushalayim. Kovet Chachomim Yincholu Azay Yerusha. The game Koyach. Yerushalayim should give you Koyach and everybody else. Ganze Mishpoche. Mishpoche is Kahn. The Mishpoche von Torah Avoide. I'm asking you, Mechila. Shame for myself. For my Mishpoche. We won't know Karoi. We didn't come as much as we should. Come to live with you. Come to help you. Please be Michael. Wie Belis Yeshiva für die ganze Mishpoche. Mocha Hashem, Alekim Dima, mi al kol ponim. V'noi mar amen.
Rav Meir Simcha.
Zwei Nekudas that you always spoke. Sie kennen sein mit seinen größten Talmidei Chachamim heint. Aber der Mune Pshute, wegen der Mune Pshute, die Tashtes HaNefesh von der Mune, was the Mune that was alive by it, that Mune who's Moise Lanu, Avadai Heim, Avodim Lavodim, Kamat Kota Ikesh Neka, like the Rambam, and say that like in the Rambam, Kamat Kota Ikesh Neka, Shesosel Avram, Neka, Ikesh Shesosel Avram, the Amuna Pshute, das was Natur bis Eichenu, das again, and Amuna Eson, he gave to us, the Amuna Kedushas Yisrael, das again, in the Beine, the Amuna Kedushas Yisrael, just under Simchas Torah, when I coughed, singing Klayidach, men and Idach, he pulled over my son. He said, you know what you're singing? And he told him, the ganze, he's told auf Bishachot Yisrael, who the Nitzchis von Ayid. So when in sein Beine, this is what he gave us. The Kedushas Yisrael, the Amuna, Pshute, the Amuna Kedushas Yisrael. Yisrael, wir leben, Yisrael auf Bishachot Yisrael, wir sein in Yisrael. The Moon in Kedushas Yisrael, the Moon in Klal Yisrael, the Moon in the Nitzchis Klal Yisrael. That was what was Mekashim, Chalacha ve'echad me Yisrael. And when we came back from Zelig Epstein's Levaya, Zelig Shechana Levracha, he said over with visible emotion, he said the Yeshiva, hat euch so gesagt ungefähr, as has to be understood correctly, but as man lernt hat Teusvis, weiß man nicht,
if we came out gut ausgekommen. You don't know if we came out good. But as a Mensch kommt mit einem schweren Herz and he walks out of the house, ein bisschen leicht, da weiß man, als man etwas aufgetan. Das ist gewesen unsere Jerusha. That was the Skashus, the Amunah in Yisrael. The Amunah, he was part of Klal Yisrael. Das ist gewesen a Stück Klal Yisrael. Gewesen Mechubbe zu der Yeshiva, alte gewesen die Yeshiva, the Talmidim, the Chavivis, the Talmidim. The Shtashaya and learning with the Talmidim. It's the geschmackste Zeiten sitting by the table over here. Sitzen around the table mit der ganzen die geschmackste Zeiten. Das Gesprotzen, die Goyen sind schon nach. Der Chavivis alle Talmidim wissen. Bekenne ich, Chokuk bin Avshenu. Der Chavivus that he had for us the Talmidim, is Lifrish B'chayin and Yachel. Tate, we can't go away. Lifrish B'chayin and Yachel. Und the Kinder, the Talmidim. Lifrish B'chayin, aber Kieten Echot, we're going to make Kieten Echot B'Seichenu. Anhalten, der Mune, der Chakika, was a Chokuk B'Seichenu. Der Mune anhalten in Eichen, der Chius HaTorah. Kieten Echot. Wir können machen ein Kieten Echot, bis ich gehen, bis ich kol Echot, bei Echot, bei Kol, bis ich kol, lebt schon kol Echot, bei Echot, kol Talmidim. Und mit dem wird man solche sein, die Chius am meisten.
Rav Borgdorf.
Isoi mi moyinu ve'einav Nofla teres roshenu oi. Every person comes into this world with koiches hanefesh, koiches haneshama, koiches haguf. There are people that are mitzdayin in Torah, avoida, gmilas chasodim. As was mentioned, Avi. The Heilige Torah was a chelik of his etzem being. He was a sholim in all three Amudei HaOlam. Babi Yoleh HaSholem told me many times that from 2-3 years old already, Tati was opening up all the Svarim, and she knew already then the Dveikis, and she saw his godless. So brought in Medrash in Eicha. It's L'chein hinni Yosef lahafli asom hazeh hafli v'fela. By Silukim shel Chachomim Tzadikim, there are 3 pliyos. As was mentioned before, so chat. Yitzhi is Tzadik Oysa Roshim. By the Yitzhi it's Pona Ziva, Pona Hoida, Pona Adora. The Ziva is the Ashros Ashchina. But the Tzadik, the Chochom, the Das Elokim that comes through the Tzadik, through the Chochom. The Hoida is the Hashpah and Talmidim. Toism the Talmidim. The Hadora is the Hoda that spread. Klal Yisrael Kuloi, Trinoi Shabbos Rabbam. The Ziv, the Hoi, the Hadar of the Amudei HaOlam. It's the Torah, Avoid the Gemilas Chasodim. When the Torah becomes a part of a person becomes a shtik Torah. His being is through and through Torah, Torah, no Torah. We were Zoicha, Mishpacha, and Talmidim, have a Tata, who through his dveikis and Torah was mekusher with the Bekor HaChaim, the Bekor HaChiyas. Das Elokim Timtze. The Horid of being Mashpia for close to 60 years at Talmidim. Bnei Yeshiva Akdoisha V'Tahoiro. He gave his ganze Leben for the Talmidim. Kemayim Ponim El Ponim Kem Leva Hodom. Talmidim Vesmedish of all the years, all the Mekayim HaTorah. Befrat in the last few years, here in the Yeshiva. Those that kept him going, those that came to learn in the house. The Hatovos used to speak about the Hatova for the Talmidim to come and keep his chiyas going. And the Hadorah to the Tinoika Shabbos Rabbah, which came out through the Eineklach, the Ir-Eineklach, the children. He loved every single one of you. He was mispal for every single one of you. For your ruchnius, for your gashmius. You are his Hemshech HaChaim. You are his chiyas, Ovi, Ovi. Rechav Yisrael for Rosh. Tate, against the Shamayim, against the Kisei HaKovid. The sauce for Sameach. Over here, we're choser. How much we're choser. No flat earth, Sheinu, Beineinu, Rabbeinu. Tata, Rebbe. As was mentioned, what's going to be with the Riskadai Reise? Oy me hoyolonu. Ya avoida. You're going to say chesed. I'm not here to speak any longer. Only have a few minutes. And here Shalom b'Torah of the year of a chesed. You were at Kohen Agodol Me'echov. Your liba, your leiv was liba, levav kol ha'om. And from there, Kayanecho, Yilvushu Tzedek. V'chasidecha Yiranenu. Tata, the parade is so difficult. So difficult. Tata, we're not finished. The tafkid is not finished. Please be a mele tiyosha for Mommy. Mommy gave everything. From Tesmo, Velo, Tovshin, Chov, Beis, Biz. Mommy was there, everything. Mommy's going to be our anchor to take and go weiter for what Tati stellt da weg. I tire, Brida. My brother Shlita. Tamid Chachamim, Yerei, B'Shleimim. I tire, Shvoge. My Schwester. Tate mir wel Tjosche. All my sister-in-laws who gave B'Lev and Nefesh every little thing. Tate and Mommy. The ene kloch, the ene kloch. The ene koch that I hear, the ene koch that I Eretz Yisrael, Baal Shabbos. Ich bet mechile von euch, all the ene koch in Eretz Yisrael, mein Kinder, alle the ene koch. All the Hatova, B'Shem HaMishpocha. The doctors that gave B'Lev and Nefesh all the years. Years and years and years. Rav Moshe, Rav Yeshua Kirstein, Dr. Bandi, Dr. K, and Menachem Friedman, all of Hasholem. More recent, Dr. Mako and Dr. Epstein, Dr. Wurzberger. Hope I didn't leave anyone out. The Hatzolah who came, Yoim B'Layla Lo Yishboisu. Oh, Yehuda. Azar Shochin Tov. Yehuda, you were Zoichet to be Azar Shochin Tov. Loim B'Layla Lo Yishboisu. and all the other ones that came, Yoim Balaylo. And we have to be Makatoiv, give thanks to the two aides who gave everything, every prat. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Lex. Thank you, Lex and Eric, for everything. Ta! Charles Prado. Please be Michael. Like Menachem said, every year of Yom Kippur, that he gesagt, Mechila. Lack of COVID. 2 nights ago, I left. It's almost 11 o'clock at night. And you ask me about the matzis. The matzis, what's the time with the matzis? Then mommy told me you were asking if I left. Where is he? What's with the matzis? Please be a melit Yosha. Go to the Kiyasa COVID. Yom Mitzvah say nu die. Be a melit Yosha for mommy, the whole mishpacha. Talmidim. Oh, the Talmidim. Hol olam atoiro. Hoid v'hodo levusha v'tischak liyoim acharoin. Bila amavis lo netzach. It's Mechilo, Egede Mishpacha. Myself, my Mishpacha, my Rebbetzin. Bila amavis lo netzach, my kinder. Umacha Hashem elikim, dimo me'al kolponim. Amen v'amen.
HaRav Mordechai Egerton.
Ich schwöre zu sagen, ein Hesped, schwer, aber ein bisschen Bechir kann man sagen, a little bit of a different perspective, maybe you could say something, but speak about that Goinus in Torah, that's Dvarim Amu for Samim, and Talmidim wechseln Asach Besser, aber the emphasis that he was gebenched with Kishronis Nifloim. He had a Zikarin Nifla, Tvisa Meher, seconds, he had things. Von deswegen, he has a reingeton gewesen, chazering over the same things again and again. And the Zelber Rikve's Kasha, the Zelber Shver Goins, every Yom Tif, the Shver Goins, and these things he knew many times. He was Messiah Das from it in any way. It was Nachmal Adurchetrak, Nachmal Geharvet. We once speaking for Leil Shabbos, the Suda, and the Shver Goin, the Goin with the Chadr Zera, and then by Esrig, Shver Goin. So the next morning, we told him after the Suda, I almost handled maybe we could say like this. So before I had a chance to say anything, he said, "No, we can't just talk on Azoi because there's noch a Shver guy." I think he realized it was quicker than he usually answered things. He told me last night when I was laying in bed in the sukkah trying to fall asleep, I already went through that tzad. So it's not going to stim because it is again and again. Noch einmal. Das ist sein ganzer Chiz, sein ganzer Leben. Der Benjamin bringt steht in als ein Torah shechenes belev roya hamidus. As for Torah to be shoichen by a man, is nicht genug. Das was lernt the Torah. Darf sein, darf haben gute Midas, as the Torah could reside by him. The Torah could be shoichen believed. The Midas from my schwer will hafel. Ist nicht von mir zu sagen. Gedoyle Yisrael haben gesagt, dass sein Midas einen mamish lahafle in Bechlal. Befrat, one thing that stood out tremendously is that he was a noise of oilam chaveiro. He was lahafle, the way he cared for yet the eigner that came, no matter who it was, no matter what the person needed. There are mechubadim, not mechubadim. Mention kol minei zachen. the Alter von Kelm says that the ganze Parasha Shemois redt wegen Moshe Rabbeinu, alle Sachen verstehen dort, und das ist Neuse Be'il. Neuse Be'il für erst, there was nothing Liebe Elias Meitzerlein first for Klal Yisrael, but then he went to Bnei Midian, Yisro's daughters. The ganze Parasha, he learns of every step of the way is a Neuse Be'il. So ein of us is a Neuse Be'il, if it's a Midu Gedusha, if it's a Oifen, is there was es Roi zu sein Amadik B'Klal Yisrael. Is there was sein Roi zu Moshe Rabbeinu. The schwer is Neuse Be'il, the way he did mamish for Yedain, and he thought about it, and he used to cry, and he used to say Tehillim, and he couldn't be Messiah Das from things. He couldn't sleep when people came to him, and it was any nitzrich, any whatever it was, didn't matter who the person was. People stayed in his house for months on end. Neuse Be'il for Nifla. Noch eine Sache ist, the Torah to be shoichem by a mensch. The mensch darf am Yir Shemayim. It steht, Yiras Hashem Yitzorah. The Nefesh Chaim's Meir has the oitzer for the Torah can shoichem sein is in the Yir Shemayim. Wie so groß the oitzer is, that's how the Torah is shoichem by the mensch. The Yir Shemayim, he would zitter. I was once walking to Yeshiva here. It was a windy Shabbos morning. Someone's hat blew off. He started screaming, "Catch his hat! Catch his hat!" I said, "What's this?" He said, "It's his tochen that the car als Gurach is Rosh Yachid, and then if his hat blows under the car, he's not going to take it out from Rosh Yachid into Rosh Rav." So it could be the rice, there are bottles, depends if it's a caramelist. Once here in Yeshiva also, he was standing here once in Yeshiva by his seat, and his towel started falling off. Also, I started putting it back. He goes, wait. That's the case of things. I goes, okay, now you can put it back on. He says if it falls off without das, then it was the shiloh with a bracha. If you're going to put it on, maybe you'll take it off. I don't know if I have das to make a bracha. He says, wait. Okay, now wait. Kind of say you can put it to the year that came in, we saw those mentioned. We came in the nafshis of the mensch. The let's the kufa when he was shvach. Every single day, you want to know if it was Yom Kippur. Every single day, it was before Shkia, after Shkia, yes, Yom Kippur, not Yom Kippur. He sat with Rabbeinu Yoina for months on end. That was the atzmis of the mensch. Even when not everything was full betalk for you, but that's what came out by the mensch. Yerushalayim, Balmidas. As our mensch is roy to have the Torah's sheichen together with the kisher in the floor. He was able to be mashpia on Talmidim, mashpia on mishpacha, give over mamish what the nafshis of the mensch. He used to say that he got it from his father. That Torah is mamish in the blood. When he was born, his father bought. They didn't have money, but when he was born, his father bought a matana, a Mishnah Brewer. And a Ketzais man, and Mr. Brewer and Mr. And he came and he told Bobby, he said, I bought a present for the baby. This way he'll have what to do when he gets older. He said it was also like a present for himself. This was able to have to learn. But that was the nafshis of the mensch. That was the ganze Leben, the ganze chiyus. And that's what he gave over to the whole mishpacha. Yeah. We dachten met Mechila. If we weren't mishamish enough, the lake was come maybe as much as we should have. But we always felt that caring, however far the distance was. And Mishkamach and Chilik, we used to daven for us and cry for us. One time we was nervous about something. Someone wasn't coming. So it was a bach, I think, needed a ride from somewhere, one of the Einiklach. So my wife told him, when are you going to stop worrying about your kids? He said, never. There's no such thing. So we spell for us, and vanaf better Mechila, b'shem my Rebbetzin and my Bias. And Shvir Meils Yosef for uns und die Mishpacha und die ganze Yeshiva. Und Bila Mavs Lanetzach Mach Hashem Dumi al Kalponim und Amen. David.
Avi. Torah Kodesh is lefanenu. Torah is lefanenu. The Kesser Torah was taken away from us. The Dichatvi. The Don Chatvi, but I think we could all say in the Emerson the Di Chatvi, yeah, the Eine. We're all Banim. Wir sitzen da in die Yeshiva. We could say the Di Chatvi. Just got a letter in the mail this week. The Talmud Chacham writes to my father, "HaKoved v'HaKurva she'ani HaKoten higashti min HaRav is k'moi ben min HaAv. Jede eine is k'moi ben min HaAv." Die Dichatvi. Es ist unsere Aveda. Yankov Avinu, after giving the brachas to the pratis, to the shvatim, says Ubaruch Oisam, he was koilem, kulam, the bracha, they all got the same bracha. It was ma'achadem, and they were all yoinik from each other. We were zeiche. Us sitting Soviv by the Tata's table, Soviv l'shulchonecha, we were zeicha to Rabbi Oisam, who was ma'achad us. Doesn't give an his egg in the rotzen, but ma'achad us. I'm from the younger. What was it like looking the Melchamtel Shel Torah, Tog Tegloch? He always used to say that there should be a Melcham in the house. Ja, eine wird halten von der Gzeus, eine wird halten von der Nesivis. Jene Melchama, jene Melchamtoi, jene Melchamtel Shel Torah. Yisrael is Mesiachis HaRav. B'dumas ha'olam is Mesiachis HaRaim. The Gemara state that the basa and the guf come from the mama, the atzamas come from the tata. If the one is avek, the basa and the guf is what's nirkev freer, then the atzamas. But there's one etzem that's chai la'olam, which comes at Chias HaMeisim, and that etzem is koil all the atzamas and the evarim. The zok the goyin. That's Yisrael who has Chias HaMeisim. The Chias HaMeisim, jene atzamas that was come from the Av, liegt chai v'kayim in the ben. That's why we Yisrael are Mesiachis after the Av, because the Av is chai v'kayim la'olam in the ben.
Jene Leib, was gewinnt Besuach, to marry anyone that saw it. We were zeiche to see it and to feel it bechush. He was called the panoramic Torah, and it encompasses the ganze sugya from the ganze panoramic view of the sugya. The Lev was koilel that, and it was koilel the Yisrael. It's given a Lev pesuach for the Yisrael v'iraisa. That Yerusha that we saw should be chai v'kayim by us. The Erev Yom Kippur that we used to go is to give the Brichas Ha'av. Et geschockelt, et geweint. When he used to give him that bracha, you can still feel it. You can still feel it. Et geweint, et geschockelt, ja glach, ja rutzu. The rotten that he wanted, that all of us should have that Yiras Shamayim. Raglach Yerutzu. When Sukkot used to come to Simchas HaChag with the Dalet Minim, it brought him into the hospital a few years ago, the Esrig, the eyes were given lichtig. Let me see. Das Yanzu Yerusha, that Yerusha should be chai v'kayim by us. I was zoiched the letzte tkufa, came out on a daily basis. I used to be there. After I finished davening with him, I used to ask him, is it okay if I go to Yeshiva? He said, go. Some days he said, you stay with me and I'll learn with you. Aber, we sit in Yeshiva now to get zusammen. We get to Yeshiva Shal Maila. Be mevakesh and be a melis yoishe. For Ima, who was there, I saw firsthand the enjoyment that she used to run just to take care. And she be a melis yoishe. It should be a mispal for us that. And all of us that need a Yeshua. And it'd be a meditation for the Yeshiva. Ubila Amavis Lo Netzach. Amen v'amen.
Rav Yitzchak.
So there are fathers. There are fathers, and there are fathers who are also a rabbeim to their children, also a rebbe to their children. They play a dual role. But Tati, the way you brought us up, it wasn't two things. You weren't a father and a rebbe. You fathered us, begashmiyas, and you fathered us, beruchniyas. As I was gegangen rein in the beiner, that's the way it went into us. The whole asik of being megadelos beruchnis was as a father. Was as a father. And I always had a gosha that Tati's sheiches to the Talmidim and the chavivus of the Talmidim,
was a spashtus of that he was a av, kol kuli av, and I feel the Rebbe Chelik was a av, was a given av for the children, and was a given av for the Talmidim. And after that way was when Tifa Reinen mentioned, it was Megadalos. Like Menachem already mentioned, I'll never forget, it's a little, I didn't know, maybe I was in Yeshiva Ktana, it's a dogma of Yeshiva Ktana, and learning Baba Basra. I think I was in Yeshiva Ktana, I wasn't learning the Sugyas. And all I remember was, we're learning now, Daf Lamed Gimel, Daf Lamed Dalet, and we'll run around. That's by osmosis, that's what I heard in the house, that's why I run around. None of us run around to none of us have Daf Lamed Gimel, Daf Lamed, and Chazaka Kol Mashtach, as Yadam, Odom Areu, Shalev, Yereb Naftali, and Daf Lamed Dalet, Daf Lamed, Reb Ber. The Toys is in Daf Lamed Gimel, es steht für Naftali, sie sagt, das sind Toys in Daf Lamed Dalet, steht für Reb Ber. Olam lo yeshkach. Whoever the Talmidim doesn't remember, the Shikol Hadas, the Shkivenken Ein sagt, almost nothing was, that's it, that's the way it is. Wenn ja, sag ich ja und nein. Das ist allemal gewesen, das war, I was learning, and the Shikol, and I heard Didi, that was Mamish, Talmud Kiben, Moshe Ben Refraim, Fruchtellen. In Eitzel also, and machen leicht für ein Mensch. That was the Eufen of helping make it leicht für ein Mensch. Euchet. Ja und nein. Sag ich ja und nein. Kulu Shikol Hadas, and Svara Yeshara. It's not for me to say, but that's, I'm saying we were showing him that he always said over, everyone mentioned already, he always said over that from the Yeshiva, that's HaRav Hutner, that you can measure the Avas HaTorah from a mensch by his Avas Yisrael, and you can measure his Avas Yisrael by his Avas HaTorah. It's bad bevad. You can measure it as I was being with Dabra al Hatzmoi. Wiffel de Kop, ik ben groß, aber der Herz noch gewinnen, sagt, noch größer. Say one dogma story. A few things came out in that story. I was living in Eretz Yisrael at that time. I got wind somehow of a complicated family situation, someone living in America, of which some of the members of the family were in Sakona, Beruchnis and Begashmias. So I called Tati what to do. He said, first of all, I'll take care of it. You shouldn't be in this. Go learn. Das ist gewähnt der erste Yesoi zu uns. Then Tati, he wasn't able to sleep from it. He would call me. The hours are different. He would call me in Eretz Yisrael when it was 2 or 3 in the morning in America, and he couldn't sleep from it. And what's going to be? What should we do? And then I said, maybe we don't have to do so much. He said, the situation entailed that, you know what kind of various das ist. Es ist Sprotz in Yerushalayim. You know, darf doch mir näher sein. And he was nervous that he was nervous to tell these parents of this family about the situation, and he thought it was dangerous for him to get involved. And after Pikain, he went and he did it, and those people hold today, and the Deures Kinder from that, those members of the Mishpacha. He went, when he had a bepoil, Pinchos Kahn, aber heute, wir haben Kohen, as was mentioned, Oiv Shalom, Roidiv Shalom. Wie viele Menschen had an interesting childhood. I grew up. Who did I sleep with in the basement? I should say the names, but sie gewinnen Label Krug, und sie gewinnen David Berkowitz, und sie gewinnen Janaf Neil Bahamas. That's who I grew up with. Sie gewinnen Pshita. So ich finde das auch. How many times they came down? The peasant Shalmaila. The couch, that couch, darf Edes sagen dorten, darf sagen Edes dorten. How many times you went and you set it up, Petira, before you went down on the floor to fix the piece of the couch and didn't be able to sleep there? Edes sagen, alle Menschen, everybody. I think there was, remember one little Shabbos here in Yeshiva, somebody walked in and he wanted a place. And the person looked somewhat suspicious. He wasn't wearing a cap, he had a beard, but he looked somewhat suspicious. And right away I saw what happened. Well, there was Oilam Hill, davening Hillel Shabbos. What did they know? Okay, Tati's going to do it. He needed a place to stay, but he was a suspicious person. So who's going to go? Oh, we'll go to Tati. We'll go to Tati. We'll go to Tati. And of course, Tati, Tati was nervous. It was dangerous. I was sleeping in the house. There were people sleep. Tati stayed up most of the night. I don't know who this person is. He's a regular Yid. We weren't sure. A Yid, a guy. We didn't know who it was. He said he's Jewish, but most of the night, Tati was up because not to take him in. He's not going to take him in. Aber kid. So da member von Chaim, der Herz was getrogen, also wie viele Menschen, so viele Menschen, gedeiht für so viele Menschen. So da member von Chaim, der Chaim hat gesagt, der was trug Päcklach, von anderen darf nicht trugen, der eigene Päcklach. In Mishnah steht, Hizel ben oil mabo. Hizel ben oil mabo. One of the things, Shaif Eil, Shaif Nofik. Shaif Eil, Shaif Nofik could be that it doesn't only mean with all of what Tati Zabotza's Torah. Tati gave over. It's noch geblieben a sach in der wenig Torah mit your Shemayim. And we saw, we were growing up, you know, head went like this, head went like this. A lot of sfars didn't come out and didn't. Given Shashua in the Torah. Izo ben oil mabo shaif ay shaif nofik. This is what happens in oil mabo. We don't know, but it states that the Eibush is mishtasheh with tzadikim in Torah. Mishtasheh with tzadikim in Torah in oil mabo in Gan Eden. The Shashua Torah. Izo ben oil mabo shaif ay shaif nofik. This is a give and take a Shashua minei bay of the Torah. Shaif ay shaif nofik. Tati, the daiger for all of us. Kol hayomim was ein l'shayir. You drive me up the block. I go, no, you can't go to Dr. Weinstein. I have to drive you up the block. The daiger for us was kol hayomim was ein l'shayir. Please continue to die. Be made with Yeshiva for all of us. For Mommy. Mommy, if a father is a father, not only in Gashmis and Ruchnis, also that makes the mother also part of the both halakim of the Gashmis and the Ruchni. It's like someone said in that family, they put Torah, the parents put Torah in the baby bottles. Hey. Continue to die and be made with Yeshiva for all of us. All of us from the Mishpacha that need Yeshua. And all the hearts was the tzipiyah that was in the tzipiyah and the tikva was in your heart for Yeshua, for Tchis HaMesim, for Mavias Mashiach. Made with Yeshiva for Mami and the children. All the Eneklach. All the Talmidim Bonim, Tati, you're going up. He's left over. Arozin, Paris, and Paris. Bonim, Talmidim as well. Ich tam für die Blinde. Wir wollen Shalom. Hast uns geklappt. Ohne Heu, Ponecholonu, Venivoshea. I have to ask Mechila if it wasn't Mishamish, that I wasn't Mishamish Karoi. I wasn't there enough. Tati was never makbid. Tati. Chilam lo yashkach nechis, that's in us. V'halach lefonecho tzidkecho, p'void Hashem yasveko.
B'Shem alle Mukrovim and Talmidim Bet Mechila. El Molei Rachamim, Shechem Amroimim. Hamtzei Menucho Nechoino, Al Kanfei Ashchino. B'Mahalois Kedoshim Utoirim, Kizoy Arakia Mazirim. Es nishmas v'reinu HaRav Pirkasarm Leod Tzvi HaKoyen Sholach Loi Lomoi Bavu Shemishpachtoi Talmidov Mkurov V'chol Nasofim Kahn Not when it's talk about Askoras Nishmosoi Began Eden Tiem Ruchosoi L'cheim Bal HaRachamim Yasirei V'seisek Nof Loi Lomim Yitzroi b'tzor Chaim es nishmosoi Adonai unachalosoi V'yonuach b'shalom al mishkavoi V'noi maromein Beten alle was in a reine mikvah soll tragen dem Morgen.
Cover the mess, and for the safety of the island, we ask everyone to please empty out the Beis Medrash, the lobby, so we could bring out the Aron in a safe manner. There'll be buses in front of Paperific. There's one bus for Kaihanim that will be outside an area that we could see the Kfura. The other bus will be going to the gate of the Beis HaOlam, and the Olam could walk to the Kfura. Mishpachas, there are 4 sprinters in front of the Mesifta. If we ask everyone to please go with it as soon as they can, it's Erev Shabbos. We'd like to get on time. When exiting the building, please move away from the entrance to let the other people go out. Thank you. Women should only be going out of the locust at East 12th exit. Please, no women should be going on Coney Island exit. Please, only East 12th exit. Anyone who's going to Beis Olam should start going. Do not wait for the water bottles are for drinking. There are water stations stationed outside for washing your hands. Please move away from the front of the building. There are more people that need to come out of the building. Please, make room, please. Like I said, there's still a lot of people in the lobby. Please, if you're in front of the building, please move away to let the people out, please. Procession will be going to Avenue L, making a left on Avenue L to Ocean Park.